then comes a separate section, the third level of the basic level of the religion, al-Islam, and the higher level of Iman with its pillars. And now comes the third and last and highest level of the religion. So there comes the title here, al-Martabatu al-Thalaaatha al-Ihsaan. The third level is al-Ihsaan. And there comes the subheading, Ta'rif al-Ihsaan, the definition of al-Ihsaan. Then comes the saying of the author, Shaykh al-Islam, al-Martabatu al-Thalaaatha al-Ihsaan, ركن واحد وهو أن تعبد الله كأنك تراه فإن لم تكن تراه فإنه يراك. The third level is al-Ihsaan. It is a single pillar, and it is that you worship Allah as if you were seeing Him. And even though you do not see Him, then He certainly sees you. So after we had Islam with its 5 pillars, and the second level, Al-Iman with its 6 pillars, now we have Al-Ihsan, the highest level, which is a single pillar, one pillar. Shaykh Fawzan said in explanation, Al-Ihsan in the language means itqanu al-shay' wa itmamuhu. What does this word ihsan mean in the Arabic language? He said, to perfect something and complete it. Ihsan means to perfect and complete the thing. It is derived from al-husn, which is al-jamal. It's this word beauty, which is al-jamal, beauty, means beauty literally. It's derived from the word al-husn, which means beauty. The opposite of ugliness. And it is divided into categories. Ihsan, this term ihsan, is divided into categories, and Shaykh Fawzan mentions the 3 categories of ihsan. Firstly, ihsan, perfection of what lies between the servant and his Lord. And that is what is meant. In this section of the book here, what is meant is this first category of ihsan. Ihsan, perfection of what is between the person and his Lord. That's what's meant here. Then the second category of ihsan is ihsan, perfection of what is between the servant, the person, and the rest of the people. And the person in his relations with the people, he perfects and perfects his relations with the rest of the people. Thirdly, ihsan al-sun'a wa itqanuha. Thirdly, doing well and perfecting whatever you make or do in your actions and things that you do, perfect them. That when a person makes something or does an action, then it is obligatory upon him that he perfects it and does it completely. Then Shaykh Fawzan, he moves on, because he said, as what is meant here is the first category. That's what we need to we're dealing with here, the first category. Perfection of what is between the person and his Lord. So then he goes on to explain that. He said the first type, and it is ihsan, perfection of what lies between the servant and his Lord. He said the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam explained it when Jibreel asked him in the presence of the companions, as will follow in the hadith, the famous hadith of Jibreel, which will come next time inshallah. He says, so the Prophet the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he explained what is ihsan between the servant and his Lord when Jibreel asked him in the presence of the companions. So he said, al-ihsan an ta'bud Allah ka'annaka tarahu فَإِن لَمْ تَكُنْ تَرَاهُ فَإِنَّهُ يَرَاكَ. When Jibreel asked the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam what is ihsan, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam replied, ihsan is that you worship Allah as if you are seeing Him. and even though you do not see him, then certainly he sees you. Shaykh Fawzan said, so ihsaan between the servant and his Lord is his perfecting the action which Allah has made a duty upon him. That he does it correctly, purely and sincerely, for the face of Allah, the Mighty and Majestic. The action, any duty which Allah has made upon the servant, he does, obviously then it's an act of worship then, that he does it sahihan, correctly, with correctness, and khalisan liwajhillah, and he does it purely and sincerely, seeking the face of Allah, the Mighty and Majestic. So an action in which there is ihsaan between the servant and his Lord is that which contains al-ikhlas for Allah, that is done purely and sincerely for Allah, the Mighty and Majestic, and it contains al-mutaba'ah lil-Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. It's done with ikhlas for Allah the Most High, it's done with ikhlas for Allah the Mighty and Majestic, and it's done with mutaba'ah, following of the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam made clear that ihsaan is of two levels, one of them being higher than the other. So what is ihsaan? If we got the question, what is ihsaan? Then it is the action between the servant and his Lord which contains those two things. It's done purely and sincerely for Allah the Most High with ikhlas, and it's done in following the way of the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And then with regard to the levels, if it's how many levels, the Shaykh said there are two levels of it, one of them being higher than the other. And he explains them. First, the first level of ihsaan is that you worship Allah as if you were seeing him, such that your certainty and your iman in Allah reaches such a level that it is as if you are actually seeing Allah with your eyes. It is as if, that's how you're worshipping Allah, with it, upon this level, the higher level, that your certainty becomes so strong and your iman in Allah becomes so strong that it is as if you're actually witnessing Allah with your eyes. You have no hesitancy or doubt. Rather, it is as if Allah is in front of you, He the Perfect and Most High, and you are seeing Him openly. So whoever reaches this level, then he has reached the limit of ihsaan, of perfection of his worship. That you worship Allah as if you are seeing Him, on account of the completeness of certainty and the completeness of ikhlas, purity and sincerity of your action. It is as if you are seeing Allah with your eyes. And Allah, the Mighty and Majestic, will not be seen. That's why the Shaykh has mentioned all the way through. It is as if. However, the Shaykh makes the point that Allah, the Mighty and Majestic, will not be seen in this world. Rather, He will only be seen in the Akhirah, in the hereafter. However, you see Him with your heart, to the extent that it is as if you are seeing Him with your eyes. And what's the meaning of this level? That the person who reaches this level, he sees Allah with his heart, with his certainty, with the strength of his iman. He sees Allah with his heart to such an extent that it's as if he was seeing Him with his eyes. Then Shaykh Fawzan said, and therefore He will reward the people of ihsaan in the hereafter, that they will see Him, He the Perfect and Most High, since they used to worship Him as if they were seeing Him in this world. So therefore Allah rewards them by giving them the opportunity to see Him with their eyes in the abode of bliss. In this world they worshipped Allah in that manner, just as if they were seeing him. So therefore, in the next life, he will reward them, that he will grant them the opportunity to actually see him with their eyes. Shaykh Fawzan said, quoting evidence for this, He the Most High said, لِلَّذِينَ أَحْسَنُوا الْحُسْنَى وَزِيَادَةً. Surah Yunus, the 10th Surah, ayah 26. With the explanation, az-ziyada, or the ayah with the explanation, for the doers of good, the people of ihsaan, there will be the best reward of paradise, wa ziyada, and something extra. Shaykh Fawzan said, the ziyada, something extra, is looking upon the face of Allah. The reason is that they had ihsaan in this world, they perfected their deeds in this world. So therefore Allah gave them al-husna, the best reward. They had ihsaan in this life, so therefore Allah gives them a reward, al-husna, the best reward, which is al-jannah, paradise. And He will give them an increase, which is the ru'ya, seeing Allah the Mighty and Majestic. So therefore you worship Allah as if you are seeing Him, as if you are actually witnessing Him, and upon love and longing to meet Him, He the Perfect and Most High. You feel delight in obedience to Him, and you feel calm and at peace with obedience to Him, He the Perfect and Most High. You eagerly desire it, you eagerly desire obedience to Him. This is the path of the muhsinin, the people of ihsaan. So all of this is the first level and the higher level of ihsaan. Then Shaykh Fawzan moves on to mention the second lower level of ihsaan. He said, the second level, if you do not reach this level, this tremendous level, what we just mentioned, so if you do not reach this tremendous level, then you worship Him upon the path of al-muraqabah, of watchfulness, such that you know that Allah sees you. And the first level is that you worship Allah as if you were seeing Him, as if, so carefully, as if you were seeing Him. If you don't reach that high level, then at least you be upon this level here, that you worship upon the path of watchfulness, that you know that Allah is seeing you, and that He knows your condition, and that He knows what lies within yourself. So therefore it is not befitting that you should disobey Him, and that you should contradict His command when He sees you and He observes you. And this is a good state. However, it is less than the first one. It's a good state to be upon, but it's less than the first level. So as long as you know that He sees you, then you therefore perfect your worship of Him. And you do it well, because you know that Allah is seeing you. And for Allah is the highest description, Allah is the highest example. And then Shaykh Fawzan gives an example to help us understand this matter, of this level. What is the second level here? The level of worshipping Allah with the sure and certain knowledge that He's watching you. You worship Him so carefully because of your knowledge that He's watching you and sees you. Shaykh Fawzan said, and for Allah is the highest example. Then he gives an example here for us to understand. If you were in front of a created being, someone from the creation, who had status, and he commanded you with a command, and you were carrying this matter out in front of him, and he was looking at you, would it be befitting that you be negligent in the performance of this action? Someone from the creation, some personal authority, some manager or someone has told you to do something, and he's in front of you watching you. and you just mess around, you don't do it properly. Would that be befitting? Would you even think of doing that? Of course not. Then Shaykh Fawzan said, so in summary, ihsaan is of two levels. The level of al-mushahada al-qalbiyya, the level of witnessing with the heart, and it is that you worship Allah as if you are seeing Him. From the strength of certainty and iman, it is as if you are seeing Allah, the Mighty Majestic, with your eyes. And the second level, the lower level, he said, and it is lesser than it, is that you worship Allah knowing that He sees you and observes you. So therefore you do not disobey Him, and you do not contradict His command. He, the Perfect and Most High. Then Shaykh Fawzan said, this is the level of al-ihsaan, and it is the highest of the levels of the religion. Ihsaan, with these two levels that we just mentioned, that is ihsaan. And ihsaan is the highest of the levels of the religion. Whoever reaches it, then he has reached the highest of the levels of the religion. Before it is the level of iman, and before that is the level of al-Islam. Islam is the first level. Higher than that, within that and higher than that is the level of iman. And then higher than that and within it is the level of al-ihsaan. Shaykh Fawzan said, so the religion, the deen, has a number of domains, number of dawairs, spheres or domains. The first, and he mentions each one of the three, the first domain is al-Islam. And it is wide to the extent that the hypocrite, the munafiq, enters into it, and he is called a Muslim, and he is treated like a Muslim because he has submitted to Islam outwardly. So he enters within the domain of Islam. Obviously what Shaykh Fawzan is indicating here, that means you got the outward treatment, that somebody who outwardly he displays Islam, all that we see from him is Islam, but inwardly he doesn't believe, and we don't know what he believes in his heart or doesn't believe, but outwardly all we see from him is that he adheres to Islam. Then obviously Allah knows that he is not a Muslim, but as for us, all we see from him is Islam. Then we have to treat him as Islam. He has, as far as we're concerned, the name of being a Muslim, being within the Muslims, and that he's dealt with as a Muslim, because we have to deal with him according to what's apparent from him. And all that's apparent to us is Islam. Obviously what Allah knows about him and what will happen in the hereafter is something else. So just repeat what Shaykh Fawzan said, that the level of Islam is something wide, to such an extent that even the munafiq, the hypocrite, enters within it and is called a Muslim, and he is treated like the Muslims because he has submitted to Islam outwardly. So therefore he enters within the domain of Islam. And he mentions the second category of people who enter within the domain of Islam. He said, and the person who is weak in iman, obviously a munafiq, he does not have iman, but the second category, a person who does have iman, true iman, but he's weak in his iman, he enters within the level of Islam as well, the domain of Islam. The one who has nothing from iman except a mustard seed of it, only got a mustard seed of true faith, iman, and he enters within the domain of Islam. Then Shaykh Fawzan mentions the second domain of Islam, the second and higher level, and it is more restricted and more specific, the domain of al-Iman. And this, the hypocrite does not enter into it. The one who is a hypocrite with an-nifaq al-i'tiqadi, a hypocrite in belief, I mean the one who is outwardly pretends to be a Muslim, in his heart he disbelieves in Islam, he has kufr in his heart, he doesn't believe in Islam, then he does not enter into the second domain whatsoever, the domain of al-Iman, true faith, ever. Rather, only the people of Iman, those who are truly believers, enter into it. And they are of two categories. Or they are of two categories: imanun kamil, those who are complete in iman, and imanun naqis, those who have deficient iman. So the mu'minun fasiq, the sinful believer, enters into it, and the mu'minun taqi, and the obedient and dutiful believer, both of them enter within the level of iman. The believer is a believer but sinful, and likewise the believer who is taqi, the believer is dutiful, obedient. They all both enter into the level of iman. Then he mentions the third domain, and it is more restricted than the second one, the domain of al-ihsaan. And it is just as the Prophet ﷺ made clear, and no one will enter into it except the people of al-imanul kamil, the people of complete iman.
Then the author, Shaykh al-Islam Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab rahimahullah, he gives the evidence for this third and highest level of the religion. So there comes a section on what occurs on page 100 or on page 225 of this Lebanese print, page 174 of the Egyptian print, with the title Dalil al-Ihsan, the evidence for al-Ihsan, for this third and highest level of the religion, al-Ihsan. So then he brings the saying of the author, Shaykh al-Islam, وَالدَّلِيلُ قَوْلُهُ تَعَالَى إِنَّ اللَّهَ مَعَ الَّذِينَ اتَّقَوْا وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ مُحْسِنُونَ. الآية من سورة النحل. وقوله تعالى وتوكل على العزيز الرحيم الذي يراك حين تقوم وتقلبك في الساجدين إنه هو السميع العليم. الآية من سورة الشعراء. وقوله تعالى وما تكون في شأن وما تتلو منه من قرآن ولا تعملون من عمل إلا كنا عليكم شهودا إذ تفيضون فيه وما يعزب عن ربك من مثقال ذرة في الأرض ولا في السماء ولا أصغر من ذلك ولا أكبر إلا في كتاب مبين. الآية in Surah Yunus. And this last part of the ayah is a side point here. The last part of the ayah وما يعزب عن ربك من مثقال ذرة في الأرض ولا في السماء ولا أصغر من ذلك ولا أكبر إلا في كتاب مبين. And of course, this being the completion of the ayah, this does not occur in any of the versions of the three principles. It only occurs in this version with the explanation of Shaykh Salih al-Fawzan. It does not occur in the rest of those who are memorizing the book. It does not occur, this completion of the ayah does not occur in the rest of the versions. So the saying of the author Shaykh al-Islam Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab rahimahullah, with the explanation and the proof for ihsan. And the proof is his saying, He the Most High. And he quotes the ayah from Surah Al-Nahl, the 16th surah, ayah 128, with the explanation, Allah is with those who fear Him and are dutiful to Him. And He is with those who are people of ihsan. He is with the muhsineen, the people of ihsan. And he's saying, He the Most High. Then he quotes the ayahs 217 to 220 of the 26th surah, Surah Al-Shu'ara, with the explanation, and place your reliance upon the Almighty, the bestower of mercy, He who sees you when you stand to pray, and who sees your movements along with those who pray along with you. Indeed, He is the all-hearing, the all-knowing. He said, and His saying, He the Most High, and he quotes the ayah from Surah Yunus, the 10th surah, ayah 61, with the explanation, and you are not, an address to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, this being, and you are not, O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, involved in any matter, nor do you recite the book of Allah, nor do you do any action, O people, except that we are witnessing your deeds when you do them. Then the completion of the explanation of the extra bit. And not even that which is of the weight of the tiniest ant is hidden from your Lord in the earth or in the heavens. Nor is there anything smaller than that, nor greater than it, except that it is written in a clear book. Shaykh Fawzan, hafidhahullah, he said in explanation, this is the proof for the level, this he said, this is the proof for the first level of al-ihsaan. It's commenting upon the first ayah here. The first of the two levels of ihsaan. He said this ayah from Surah Al-Nahl, this is the proof for the first level of ihsaan. Inna Allah ma'al ladhina taqaw wal ladhina hum muhsinun. With the explanation, Allah is with those who have taqwa of Him, those who fear and are dutiful to Him, and those, He is with those who are people of ihsaan, the muhsinun. Shaykh Fawzan said, the ayah proves that Allah is with the muhsineen, the people of ihsaan. And they are those who worship Allah as if they were seeing Him. Then Allah is with them. فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ مَعَهُمْ. Allah is with them. With a ma'iyya khassa. Allah is with them in a specific sense of ma'iyya. The ma'iyya has been with them with regard to aiding and helping and at-tawfiq, guiding them to and granting them attainment of correctness. So the muhsineen, in other words, Allah is with them in a specific sense. As a side point here, we had some time ago in the explanation, in Shaykh al-Fawzan, hafidhahullah's explanation of al-Aqidah al-Wasitiyya, we had the ma'iyya of Allah the Most High. Allah the Most High is being with the creation is of two types. The first of them is al-ma'iyya al-amma. Allah is being with the creation in a general sense, which is the sense that is general to the whole of the creation. To which Shaykh al-Fawzan said, that which necessitates His encompassing them, His encompassing His creation, He the Perfect, and His knowledge of their actions, the good of them and the bad of them, and that He will recompense them for them. So Allah the Most High is being with His creation, His ma'iyya, in a general sense. That's general to the whole of the creation. And it necessitates that Allah Most High encompasses the whole of His creation. He knows what they're upon from good and evil and so on. And then the second and the specific ma'iyya of Allah the Most High to His creation, Shaykh Fawzan said, is al-ma'iyya al-khassa. Allah is being with the creation in the specific sense that He is specifically with His servants, the believers, the mu'mineen. And this specific ma'iyya necessitates His aiding and His helping and His protecting. His aiding and His helping and His protecting. Obviously this is what Shaykh Fawzan refers to here, that we just heard in the explanation here. The ma'iyya of Allah the Most High, the specific ma'iyya of Allah the Most High with His believing servants. And there's an additional side point, then Shaykh Zayd al-Madkhali, hafidhahullah, he said in his explanation with regard to the people commented on this ayah, with regard to the people of ihsaan and their virtue and encouragement to try to strive to be upon ihsaan, he said, it is sufficient nobility for them that Allah is with them. And whoever is such that Allah is with him, then he will not be lost. And it is not possible that he will deviate and fail, yarhamukallah, and fail neither in this world, nor in the barzakh, in the intermediate life, nor in the hereafter. So if you love that Allah should be with you, then upon you is to be a muhsin, a person of ihsaan, in your actions, the outward ones and the inward ones. Then back to the explanation of Shaykh Fawzan, hafidhahullah, he moves on to explain the second ayah brought by the author. So he said, and he's saying, He the Most High, وَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى الْعَزِيزِ الرَّحِيمِ الَّذِي يَرَاكَ حِينَ تَقُومُ وَتَقَلُّبَكَ فِي السَّاجِدِينَ يَرْحَمُكَ اللَّهُ. With the explanation, and place your reliance upon the Almighty One, the bestower of mercy. He who sees you when you stand to pray, and He sees your movements amongst those who are praying. Shaykh Fawzan said, this is a proof for the second level. And the first ayah that came is a proof for the first and highest level of ihsaan. Now this ayah is a proof for the second level of ihsaan. He said this is a proof for his saying, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, فَإِنَّهُ يَرَاكَ, then He certainly sees you. Obviously referring again to the hadith of Jibreel, regard to ihsaan, that you worship Allah as if you were seeing Him, the first level of ihsaan. And then, and even though you do not see Him, then certainly He sees you. And Shaykh Fawzan said, وَتَوَكَّلْ, explain the ayah word by word and phrase by phrase, وَتَوَكَّلْ. Shaykh Fawzan said, meaning, entrust your affairs عَلَى الْعَزِيزِ الرَّحِيمِ, to the Aziz, to the Almighty One, Ar-Rahim, the bestower of mercy. Shaykh Fawzan said, and He is Allah, the Perfect and Most High. And he explains the phrase حِينَ تَقُومُ, with the explanation, when you stand. Shaykh Fawzan said, you stand for worship and for the prayer. وَتَقَلُّبَكَ فِي السَّاجِدِينَ, with the explanation, and your movements amongst those who perform sajda, perform prostration. Shaykh Fawzan said, He sees you whilst you are performing your ruku', the bowing, and whilst you are performing the sajda, the prostration. He sees you in all the states of worship, standing and bowing and prostrating. Then He, the Perfect and Most High, sees you. إِنَّهُ هُوَ السَّمِيعُ الْعَلِيمُ. The explanation, indeed, He is the all-hearing, the all-knowing. Shaykh Fawzan explains, the one who hears your sayings, the one who knows your sayings, He, the Perfect and Most High. Then Shaykh Fawzan moves on to the next ayah brought by the author. He said, and He's saying, He the Most High, وَمَا تَكُونُ فِي شَأْنٍ وَمَا تَتْلُو مِنْهُ مِنْ قُرْآنٍ وَلَا تَعْمَلُونَ مِنْ عَمَلٍ إِلَّا كُنَّا عَلَيْكُمْ شُهُودًا إِذْ تُفِيضُونَ فِيهِ. The third ayah brought by the author, the ayah from Surah Yunus, with the explanation, and you, O Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, are not engaged in any matter. You are not engaged in any matter, nor do you recite the book of Allah, nor do you do any action, O people, except that we are witnessing your deeds when you do them. Shaykh Fawzan said in explanation, this is a proof for the second level. And also this is a further proof for the second level of ihsaan. وَمَا تَكُونُ فِي شَأْنٍ, and the explanation, and you are not engaged in any affair. Shaykh Fawzan said this is an address to the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. In any affair from your affairs, from the affairs of worship or other than it. All of your actions and your movements, you will not be engaged in any affair at all. وَمَا تَتْلُو مِنْهُ مِنْ قُرْآنٍ. The part of the ayah with the rough explanation of, and you do not recite, and you do not recite from him, and you do not recite from it, from the Qur'an. Shaykh Fawzan explains meaning. He's explaining the word minhu. وَمَا تَتْلُو minhu. Shaykh Fawzan said meaning min Allah. Meaning from Allah. You do not recite something from him, from Allah. Because the Qur'an is from Allah, the mighty and majestic. Or, and then Shaykh Fawzan gives a second explanation. He said the dhamir, the pronoun, the personal pronoun, minhu, the who, it could refer back to the affair. And then the meaning would be, and from the affairs which you are engaged in is recitation of the Qur'an. There are two possible ways to understand that word, minhu. And he said, وَلَا تَعْمَلُونَ, with the explanation, and you do not do. Shaykh Fawzan said, this is for all of the nation. It's in plural form, and you do not do anything. Shaykh said, this is for all of the nation. For the Messenger, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and other than him. It's an address I'm referring to the whole of the nation. Min amalin, the explanation, any action. Shaykh Fawzan said, any action from the actions, whether good or bad. إِلَّا كُنَّا عَلَيْكُمْ شُهُودًا. With the explanation, except that we are witnessing you. Shaykh Fawzan said, we are seeing you, meaning we are seeing you and observing you and witnessing you. This is a proof for his saying, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, فَإِنَّهُ يَرَاكَ, and indeed he sees you. So all of these parts here referring to the second level of ihsaan. The first I brought was the proof of the first level of ihsaan. All of these ones now are evidences for the second level of ihsaan, including what's just been mentioned there. إِذْ تُفِيضُونَ فِيهِ, with the explanation, when you are engaged in it. Shaykh Fawzan said, you are carrying it out, and you are doing it. So this gives a proof for the second level from the levels of ihsaan. And that he, the Majestic and Most High, witnesses the action of every doer of an action. He, the Perfect and Most High, sees him and knows him and observes him. And nothing is hidden from him. إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يَخْفَى عَلَيْهِ شَيْءٌ فِي الْأَرْضِ وَلَا فِي السَّمَاءِ. Surah Ali Imran, the third surah, ayah 5, with the explanation, nothing whatsoever in the earth nor in the heavens is hidden from Allah. Then Shaykh Fawzan said, so now he's commented upon the first type and first part of ihsaan, the first type of ihsaan, the ihsaan between the servant and his Lord. The ihsaan that the servant has with regard to his worship of his Lord. Now he moves on to the second, the ihsaan that is between the creation, the person and the rest of the creation. So he says, as for ihsaan between the servant and the creation, then its meaning is doing good to them, expending or doing good to them, and withholding from harming them. So he gives a very comprehensive definition there for ihsaan towards the creation. بَذْلُ الْمَعْرُوفِ لَهُمْ وَكَفُّ الْأَذَى عَنْهُمْ. Expending and giving good to them, putting forward good towards the rest of creation, and withholding from harming them. He said, give you some examples of that, such that you feed the hungry person and you clothe the person without clothing, and that you assist the needy person with your position, and that you intercede for the one who needs to be interceded for, that you do al-ma'ruf, you do that which is good, with all the different aspects of good. You are hospitable to the guest, and you are generous towards the neighbour. Nothing but good emanates from you towards the neighbour, and you withhold harming him also. So no harm comes from you towards him or towards anyone else. For from the people there are those who are such that nothing but harm comes from them. And from the people there are those whom harm and good come from. Some good and some harm. And from the people there are those whom nothing but good comes from. Then this is the highest of the levels. The lowest of them, those who are the only see emanating from them towards the rest of the people is evil treatment, evil behaviour. And higher than that is those, some good comes from them, but evil comes from, harm comes from them towards the people as well. And the highest is those who only good treatment comes from them towards the rest of the creation. And Shaykh Fawzan continues, doing good towards the people, expending or giving good towards the people, and withholding harm from them. This is ihsaan towards the people. This is good and fine treatment towards the people. وَأَحْسِنُوا إِنَّ اللَّهَ يُحِبُّ الْمُحْسِنِينَ. Surah Al-Baqarah, the second surah, ayah 195. With the explanation, and do good, be upon ihsaan, do good. Allah loves the muhsineen, the doers of good, the people of ihsaan. Shaykh Fawzan said, even towards the animals, it is obligatory that you treat them well. That you have ihsaan towards even the animals. It is obligatory. That you make available for them whatever they need. And that you withhold harming them. And that you are gentle with them. This is from ihsaan towards the animals. Even a person who is to be rightfully killed, when a person is going to be rightfully executed, you should not torture him. Rather, you should execute him in a fine and tranquil manner. So a person whom it is obligatory to execute, and someone it is obligatory to carry out a had, a prescribed punishment upon, then it is carried out upon him with gentleness. There is to be no mutilation and no torture and no beating to death. He sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, إِنَّ اللَّهَ كَتَبَ الْإِحْسَانَ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ فَإِذَا قَتَلْتُمْ فَأَحْسِنُوا الْقِتْلَةَ وَإِذَا ذَبَحْتُمْ فَأَحْسِنُوا الذَّبْحَ. Saying of Allah's Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Allah has written, Allah has obligated ihsaan with regard to everything. So when you kill, then kill in a fine manner, a good manner. And when you slaughter an animal, then slaughter in a good manner. In a footnote they mention the hadith reported by Muslim as hadith 1955, as a hadith of Shaddad ibn Aus radiallahu anhu. And this being, of course, one of the hadith of al-Nawawi's 40 hadith, hadith number 17 from al-Nawawi's 40 hadith. Shaykh Fawzan said, so with regard to qisas, with regard to retaliatory punishment, execution, or other than it, from that which necessitates a prescribed punishment. In all of that, the principle of ihsaan, treating well applies. He said, فَإِذَا ذَبَحْتُمْ, explain the part of the hadith, فَإِذَا ذَبَحْتُمْ. So when you slaughter an animal, meaning, when you slaughter animals which are to be eaten, then do ihsaan of the slaughtering. Slaughter in a fine manner, and let one of you sharpen his knife, and let him give relief to the animal which he is slaughtering. Obviously, Shaykh al-Fawzan, he is quoting the wording actual wording of the hadith, in one narration of the hadith. When he slaughters the animal, let one of you sharpen his knife, and let him give relief to the animal which he slaughters. Shaykh Fawzan said, so therefore you are to treat with ihsaan even the animals. And then he gives an example of this. He said, and Allah forgave the prostitute woman from Banu Israel, the one from before, from the people of Banu Israel from before, a prostitute woman from them, Allah forgave her on account of the fact that she gave a drink of water to a dog which had its tongue hanging out from thirst. So she gave it water to drink, and Allah thanked her for that and forgave her. He forgave her sin. In a footnote they refer for this narration to al-Bukhari, hadith number 3467, and Muslim, number 2245, as a hadith of Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu. Shaykh Fawzan said, commenting, and this is a tremendous sin, and it is prostitution, meaning fornication, zina. But Allah forgave her on account of that, because she did ihsaan towards this thirsty animal. She treated this thirsty animal with ihsaan in a fine manner. Shaykh Fawzan said, so how about something other than a dog? If you were to treat a hungry person from the Muslims, or even from the children of Adam, the descendants of Adam, even if he is a disbeliever, if you treat him with ihsaan, you treat him well, then Allah the Majestic and Most High will thank you for that ihsaan, will thank you for that fine treatment. He the Most High said, وَأَحْسِنُوا إِنَّ اللَّهَ يُحِبُّ الْمُحْسِنِينَ. Same ayah that came a short while ago, Surah Al-Baqarah, second surah, ayah 195, with the explanation, and perform ihsaan. Allah loves the people of ihsaan. And then Shaykh Fawzan moves on to the third type of ihsaan, meaning the ihsaan which is perfection of whatever deed that you do, whatever action you do, that you perfect it and complete it and do it properly. So Shaykh Fawzan said the third type, and it is perfection of the action. Whatever action you do, it is obligatory that you perfect it. Not so that it should be said, so and so has done such and such very well. You don't do it for that purpose. You don't do it so that you'll be praised for that. The Shaykh said, and there occurs in the hadith, إِنَّ اللَّهَ يُحِبُّ إِذَا عَمِلَ أَحَدُكُمْ عَمَلًا أَنْ يُتْقِنَهُ. Allah loves that when one of you does an action, that he perfects it. In a footnote they mentioned this hadith is reported by al-Bayhaqi in his book Shu'ab al-Iman, and they give the references there as a hadith of Aisha radiallahu anha. And as a side point, then this hadith was declared Hasan, good, by Shaykh al-Albani in Sahih al-Jami', and he spoke about it in his book Silsilatul Hadith al-Sahiha, hadith 1113.